We're live.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, folks. It's V the Gorilla coming to you live with my main man, Algo Cowboy, working the airways, making sure this air broadcast is coming out crispy and clean. You know what I mean? Check us out, roguenews.com. Follow us on X at ESW Rogue News, ESW Rogue News. And with that being said, Cowboy, good morning, buddy. And also, guys, listen, we still are offering that free algorithm from algofactory.tech. So if you haven't gotten a chance to do it already, go get that free algorithm and join us after you test it out and realize, hey, man, this is pretty freaking awesome. Join us over at algofactory.tech, where we not only teach you how to trade, but also to build the algorithms that trade on your behalf 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365, baby, in any market, anywhere in the world.
The link is in the description for the algo.
And with that being said, Cowboy, what's going on, Ben? How are you?
Good. Before we get into our subject matter, I had something that was just so well done. I got a real kick out of this, so we can watch a pretty funny video. It's along the lines of "Are we the baddies?" All right. It's, dude. I mean, you can see how it's already started.
Yeah,
you seen it?
Yeah, this is a good one.
Dude, this is so funny. All right, here we go. I gotta turn the volume up.
Yeah.
So good.
I'm a time traveler from the year 2025, and I've come here to kill you, Hitler.
Oh, not again. I'm never gonna have enough time to finish these paintings with all of these time travelers trying to kill me.
Well, I'm going to succeed.
Before you pull the trigger, can I just ask why? Why do all of you people want to kill me?
Isn't it obvious? I'm a progressive, a liberal, a fighter for social justice. And you are a fascist who implemented a reign of terror. And while the effects of your policies devastated the world for decades...
On the populace. Me too! That's fantastic!
What? No. You and I have nothing in common. What I'm saying is there are people in our time with dangerous ideas, and we need to silence them.
Silencing those who disagree with you. I do that too! Oh, wunderbar! Oh, the Nazi movement will not die with me.
Don't give me that! I'm enlightened, and you're as bad as... well, as Hitler. Listen, what I'm trying to say is we are very close to implementing a utopia, as long as we can get rid of some certain undesirable people groups.
Yes, like the Jews.
Yes, like the Jews. Oh.
So, in the future, you also do not like the Jews?
Well, no. But we don't believe in segregating all the races like you do. I mean, except for, like, graduation ceremonies. And dorms. And hiring practices. Oh, and admissions policies. That sort of thing.
I, too, am a fan of the segregation. I'm sorry, I have to ask, is this a real firearm or is this some kind of toy for kids?
It's a flare gun. I'm trying not to support America's toxic gun culture. I'm a firm believer in gun control.
Gun control! This was one of my ideas, too. Ban them from the undesirables. Yes, look here. Oh, and your shirt. This is an organization founded by Margaret Sanger. Yes?
Wait, you know about Margaret Sanger?
Jawohl, of course. Oh, she's such a lovely person.
No. She's a fighter for reproductive rights, for women's empowerment,
and the eradication of undesirable populations by means of eugenics. Brilliant lady, very inspiring. I must use some of her ideas in our socialized healthcare system.
Socialized healthcare? That's not your thing. That's our thing.
Oh, no, it's very much my thing. Did you know that Nazi means National Socialist German Workers' Party? Nazi is just more catchy. Nazi. Just rolls off the tongue.
No. This can't be true. This has to be some sort of mistake. We are nothing alike. You're Adolf Hitler, evil right-wing fascist dictator, and I'm a feminist restorative justice advocate. And a vegetarian.
You're a vegetarian? Me too.
Okay, I am so confused right now. I came here with a clear goal in mind to kill the most evil man to have ever lived. Besides Ronald Reagan. But now that I'm meeting you in person, you're not at all what I thought you were. And your painting is actually really good. What do you call it?
I call it Ein Reich ohne Juden.
Wow. I don't know what that means, but it sounds beautiful.
It does, doesn't it?
I believe that's Babylon B, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it is. It is Babylon. It's the B.
Oh, dude, that's some of their best work, man. They
Yeah.
they really like. You can tell they spent some money on the production.
Yeah, exactly.
Margaret Sanger, lovely lady.
Lovely lady. Yeah. Socialized medicines. Yeah, that's my thing.
Yeah,
That
no,
way.
that's and he says that so offhandedly. He goes, "Oh no, that's very much my thing."
That's very much my thing.
Oh man, so interesting stuff. I know that Velas, who's in the audience, has a lot to say about our grid, and this is why we titled the show today. Fake markets, fake grid, fake country. We are not a serious country. And there is an article on Zero Hedge that I thought we would take a look at here. They're trying to expand the grid, but we're basically correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of our grid was built like what in the 50s, 60s. How old is our power grid?
Our power grid is ancient, man. It's really ancient. The thing is, it's another example of gross mismanagement of everything else that we do. You could add that to the list, right? Because the power grid's been around forever. It doesn't take much to harden our power grid. You could probably do it between $2 to $4 billion to harden our power grid against EMP strikes, against solar flares and whatnot. But no, we can't do it because you got a lot of pork barrel projects. The grift is so bad that civil society, in terms of like civic and public works, no longer work. Because everybody's on the take. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I think Velas said like 10 billion 10 billion's nothing compared to like how much money did we send Ukraine?
Dude, it costs us $10 billion to move an aircraft carrier battle group from one end of the Strait of Hormuz to the other end of the Persian Gulf.
Right.
It costs us nothing. $10 billion is nothing in the grand scheme of things. It's absolutely nothing. We spend more on bullets and missiles. We've spent more on fucking Ukraine, right? So
like an order of magnitude or two.
Exactly. And here's the thing: this whole bullshit of hub, we're going to be like the leaders of AI and data centers. Okay, how? Oh, we're going to bring nuclear power plants online. Okay, great. How? Where? How many thorium reactors have we built? 0. How many new nuclear power plants have we built? 0. How much new oil refining capacity have we built since 1973? 0. How much has our population grown? Significantly, right? And we're running on infrastructure that just doesn't hold. You drive across most bridges and tunnels in the United States, you will see the rot and the rust. And here's the thing, man. It's like energy is the power of the economy. Your economy is only as good as your infrastructure. Infrastructure is the scaffolding that holds your economy together, right? And when you look at our infrastructure, it's pretty damn deplorable, bro.
Well, yeah. I mean, so by the way, I think Turning Japanese is having an audio problem. I don't think it's anybody else's issue. I know that building out the grid does require some things. Among those things are going to be materials that we can only buy from China because we stopped producing them ourselves. Yeah. And it isn't like we have no strategic metals or any kind of, what are those metals like? What are the special metals called? I can't think. Rare earths. We have rare earths here in this country.
We do.
Like it's not like we don't have them.
We have rare earths. The problem is we don't. There are rare earths that we do have. We don't have every single one of them, but there are rare earths that we do have. The problem is we don't have the refining capability or the processing capability to extract and to handle all of this stuff. We just don't. Because why do that when you can build bombs, man?
Yeah, well, here's the thing about it. One of the things that we've noticed about prior, market failures or market pullbacks and things like that is that you get massive public works projects to come out of those. So my prediction is that we won't see any major public works projects until we actually see a major pullback in the markets. So for the next 10 years or however long it is until we see another depression, the power grid is going to leave us exposed to war, exposed to solar flares and everything else, because the leadership of our nation, they're sandbagging. We have if we didn't spend our money on stupid foreign wars and just basically funding Europe's socialism, we could live in a flippin' utopia. We'd have all the best technology. This country would be the city on the hill, right?
Correct.
We could have spent money that would have improved our technology such that the amount of money we need to spend to have a good life would be less, kind of like China did, right? And China's not without its problems, but we had this the whole time. And we completely squandered that opportunity when we had the world's reserve currency. Vela says, utopia, except you have to fight for renewal at 35 years of age. I don't get that one, Velas. Are you talking about like renewal, like Logan's Run renewal? Is that what you mean? So if you think about it this way, the grid's going to take materials to expand, but we can make those deals.
Yeah.
And if you want to try to fix the economy, and yeah, so I guess that right. So if you want to fix the economy, people need jobs. And unfortunately, one thing that I've noticed that if you look at the whole, and this is being this trope of hard times create strong men create good times. This is being way overplayed now all over the internet. We hear it too much, but it's kind of true. Like you can't get young people to have a job at McDonald's. They just won't do it. Think about it from the from the franchise owner's point of view. You own a McDonald's, you manage it, whatever the case may be. Are you going to hire some teenager who is entitled, who thinks that they should just raise minimum wage? We talked about this yesterday with Joaquin Flores. No, they're going to hire somebody who's from another country, who's willing to shack up with the rest of their family and live on the floor. And then your minimum wage job at McDonald's actually makes a difference because everybody's contributing. These young people in our country are far too entitled. So trying to build out our grid in the current environment, I don't know that the U.S. is really going to have the workers to do it. I don't know that the U.S.
We don't have the real type of grid. When you want to build a grid for AI, right, you got to do it using some of the most efficient, systems, right? Especially the wires, the cables, the capacitors, the
flex capacitor.
No, what the hell is that called? The substations and whatnot. They all have to be geared to be as efficiently as possible, because the problem with energy generation in the United States is that there's a lot of dirty energy that gets thrown out, right? That gets thrown back onto the grid. You want to make it as clean and as efficient as possible so that dirty energy is not proliferating throughout the grid, which, this is why, when you're buying electronics here in the United States, always, especially high-end electronics, they always recommend getting you, if you're using some sort of plug or whatnot, to use something that has some sort of surge protection, because power surges and that can damage your electronics and whatnot. So this is the reason why. So when you want to build data centers, you want to build it with the greatest amount of efficiency as possible. This is why the current infrastructure we have since the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s that we built out, okay, they're not designed or geared for the high-speed, high-efficiency, super fast, data-centric, ubiquitous internet and data world that we're living in. It's not geared for that AI world. It's not geared for any of this shit, right?
Love it when you talk dirty.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad.
I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry.
You're always throwing me off my shit, man.
I just had to, bro.
You're the worst.
Ubiquitous, and I was like, "Holy shit, dude, he's on a roll. I gotta fucking mess that up."
Throw a banana peel. So I mean, look at this. Like new AI data centers, popping up all across the largest U.S. Grid, serving 65 million people across 13 states and Washington D.C. Part of PGM, which is the energy provider, right? Includes Loudoun County, Virginia, known as Data Center Alley, which is recognized as one of the world's largest hubs for data centers. And the problem is that the next generation server racks at AI data centers are consuming more than twice the power they did just a few years ago. For example, NVIDIA's GB200 AI track. And here's the funny thing, right? How much of this AI stuff is actually necessary to actually do something? We don't really know. You got to understand, folks, this is a boondoggle thing, right? AI is a powerful thing, this, that, and the other, but how much of it is actual reality versus just projective bullshit? And I guarantee you a good 70% is just projective bullshit. But that's not going to stop these assholes from building. Why? Because when you're building, we're building a data center, that increases, if you're a startup company, that's going to increase the amount of venture capital funding you're going to be getting, investment funding you're going to be getting, right? That's going to increase your potentiality of getting more money. And if you're a publicly traded large corporation and you're out there, we're building data centers, what's that going to do to your share price? Ooh, that's going to go look good because all the shareholders who don't know shit from Shinola, all they're doing is just looking at market metrics and not the greater play here. They're going to be like, oh yeah, that's going to move the stock price. I'm in. So a lot of this is just fueled by financialization. And this is the problem. When a country's financialized, where every freaking thing we do is financialized, everything becomes fake. Everything that is financialized at some point is so removed from not only from the underlying asset, but it's also removed from the underlying reality, right? And this is what you're seeing. And we mistake this kind of this type of running fools rushing in where angels fear to tread kind of stuff, right? We mistake this as real economic growth. It's not. It's just more grift and graft. You understand what I'm saying? That's the whole thing. Wash, rinse, repeat. So at the end of the day, what's being actually built? Nothing. Look how many infrastructure projects have been built in this country that are just bridges to nowhere, right? Look at California's high-speed rail. They can never fucking do it. They can't do it. Folks,
I guess what's the name? Gavin's trying to sue Trump over defunding at least the federal money from it.
Yeah, of course. Because it's a cash cow. It's a cash trough. It's a payoff mechanism. Everything is graft. Everything is a grift and a graft. Everything from every freaking level, right? There's no reason why shit is so expensive in this country. Doesn't make any sense. From building materials to the energy costs to food, the price of food, it doesn't need to be this way. The problem is we have a federal government whose entire purpose is wealth extraction, because we have to feed the Borg. We have to feed the Borg, and the Borg is Wall Street. The Borg is the financiers, and that's the problem here. So anything that becomes financialized doesn't become real. You got to learn how to cut through the marketing bullshit. And it's only when you dive right through the marketing bullshit, you realize what the underlying problem is. You realize what the underlying issue is. But you got to get through the marketing stuff. And the problem is most Americans don't. Lockheed Martin's working on the next generation stealth fighter, Generation 6. Here I am. How many years has it been since they rolled out 5G? Right? Look, folks, I've traveled all over the place. I have never seen, in some of the biggest metropolitan areas in the country, I have not seen any sort of major, huge difference between 5G and 4G LTE that we had before. It's a joke. Unless I'm on the direct line of sight at one of those 5Gs that have that's more pointed or more directed towards the individual because of line of sight, and I have a clear line of sight, then I'm getting like 80 Mbps and whatnot on my cell phone. But it's all bullshit. It's all marketing stuff. Everything is marketing, everything. And we're supposed to be a serious country. Folks, let me tell you, if dumb old me can figure this out, there are people with brain powers that will torch any single one of us here sitting in China that's looking at this bullshit and be like, this country's a joke. Are they seriously trying to compete with us? Because the rhetoric, man, is like, oh my God, we're like, this amazing thing. The reality is it's not. Here's a short-term energy outlook for July, which showed that the average summer wholesale power price across PGM, NY, ISO, and all these other grids are the highest in the nation. These prices now far exceed those in Texas, ERCOT, and the U.S. average, and even traditionally high-cost West Coast markets. The blame is squarely focused on Democrats' initiative to recklessly decarbonize power grids. We want power grids. We want to be, we got to decarbonize it. It's incredible.
If we gotta have the Borg, right? If it's gotta be the Borg, can it just be 7 of 9?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously. Well, the thing is that if you think of it from a real standpoint, a real market standpoint, doing this properly with the right materials, doing it in what's going to have to be a cooperative way. I think Vela said it. It's going to require I got to go back to what he said. Polish screw machinists and German and Swedish. Here it is right there. You got to have labor from Mexico, screw machinists from Poland, and engineers from Sweden and Germany, right? So is there some kind of stupid plan to wait until everything falls apart, and then people in the U.S. get hungry enough to where they'll do any work? Let's just say I'm very familiar with a lineman college, and I'm very familiar with a lot of work that is going on in that world. I'm seeing substations go up, and it's around a particular new data center, right? You know which one it is, and get to into details there. And my concern is that they're just doing it as cheaply as possible. They're not doing it in a way that can withstand any kind of attack. And it does seem, given this particular data center, that there were, and you know where I live, right? So there was like a fire in the field next to this data center. And I drove out to take a look at it, and there's fire engines all around it. And then like next week, there was another fire in the field right at the data center again. And then there was a fire up north, and some guys got shot when they came out to put out the fire. The firemen got shot. Like, our whole grid is in such a precarious scenario that if we tick off the wrong people and the grid is taken down, we will lose like 95% of our population. And I know that's like going into prepper talk and all that stuff. If a solar flare hit us and our grid went down across the country, we would lose 95% of our population. And I think that each grid, like the grid's really broken up, my understanding is into 3 separate grids. You got Texas, you got West Coast, you got East Coast. And then of course, those are all subdivided into what you see on the screen, right? Yeah. So I think that the points of failure, and anybody in the audience who can kind of, what do you call it? Evaluate this or whatever, like quantify this. I think the points of failure are very few for each of these grids. Like, I think that it would be a very simple operation to take these grids down, and they would be down for some time. Here we have from Velas, the U.S. grid grew iteratively, good word, and was not laid out like the interstate system. The fact is, decentralized is a good thing. The decentralization is not the problem. The life cycle management is. Okay, so at least, a single point of failure. I just don't know how many, I don't think there's a single point of failure. There might be 3, 6, 9, 12 or more, but under any circumstances, these substations are very targetable. So why do we not spend the money to harden them? Even if we have to bring in labor from somewhere else.
Why do we need to do that when we can go start a war in the Middle East, bro?
We just go spend. Man. I mean, how much money did we send to Ukraine? I mean, the estimates are in the hundreds of billions, right?
How much money have we spent to date since our support of Israel in the 70s?
Oh, good Lord. I mean, if you count it in, post, if you account for inflation, the numbers are in the trillions for sure. And that's just that we know about. How much money was was ginned up and spun up in the Eurodollar
So who
system.
needs it for these stupid, smelly Americans? Who needs it? We don't need any grid here. We don't need better health care. We don't need better schools. We don't need any of that stuff, man. That's right. We just need to, put it out there. Yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to do. It's a boondoggle. If it's not a boondoggle, it's some sort of a force grip. Like, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, Trump's picking of RFK Jr. He's really going after the pharmaceutical companies. Well, then reality is the pharmaceutical companies are being shaken down for more donations.
Yeah, I mean, here it is right here. Boring is entirely right about grid limitations in the era of data center buildouts. Take, for example, just how fragile the grid is across the mid-Atlantic area. Yep. And there's some articles here. We've warned over the last year about the power crisis unfolding across the mid-Atlantic. I mean, that's where so much of the population is in this country. Yep. It's in the eastern seaboard and, on the other side here. So let's go and move on here. The other fakeness that, fake markets is kind of the theme here. Everybody is messing around with the meme stocks now, right? So we're having a melt up in the stocks. It's happened post, what do you call that thing? The tariff tantrum. Tariff tantrum pushed the prices down. Stock market puked out 25% in 8 weeks. And then it came right back up. And one thing that people don't understand is that in the last several weeks, the slow move up, that's retail. It's probably retail. That's most likely what retail is. Now, to actually get the flows and stuff, you have to, spend $25,000 a month and have a Bloomberg terminal, or you have to know somebody. But to make it really simple, I can just tell you by looking at the charts that those are flows. So if I go over to the NASDAQ and I zoom into the daily chart, you can actually see it. I don't know if you can see it on the screen. I'm gonna have to change my screens here. So this is the NASDAQ, and you're looking at the daily chart. This move up here, from here to here, that's probably a lot of institutional money, right? That's a strong move up, and that's a lot of, smart money buying what they knew was the bottom, right? So if I were to go back in time, taper tantrum here, institutional buy up here, but everything after that, this little ranging kind of, ticky-tacky moves up, that's retail. So what's happened here, and that's just not all retail, but that's a generalized, simplified explanation. So all of the move from, what is this? NASDAQ, and this goes across all major markets, from 16,490 up until about 21,473. That was institutional. That is a percent move up to the tune of, and this is just price, this isn't necessarily volume or market cap, but that is a 30% move up from the lows, right? Well, how much has it gone up since then? That appears to be retail. From the pullback, that's 13%. So 13% of this market is froth, right? So at some point, and I don't know when, there is a decent chance that retail, or that the institutionals are going to go ahead and knock the price down. And what's probably been going on is, since this change from what looks like institutional to what looks like retail, this is ma and pa kettle, just buying their individual stocks, putting their nest egg into everything. And what they're doing is they are selling to the institutionals who bought down low. The institutionals are using this money and all the 401k contributions that, Joe Sixpack and Jane Winebox are putting into the market while they're asleep at the wheel, because it happens with their paycheck, and they don't give a crap about nothing because markets are good, because number go up. The institutionals are getting dry powder and they're taking it from you. That's what's going on here. Most likely. We don't know this to be true, but I have a very high confidence and know a guy or two. So that said, there will be a time when the big money wants to get back in. When does the big money get in? They get in after moves down. That's how they do it. And what they do is they know when the move down is coming and they short. Now, these little red tabs right there, that's my algo, and that's pretty accurate, right? It calls moves up. It's not always successful. It calls moves down, and it's not always successful, but high probability. And everybody at Algo Factory gets to learn when that is, right? So that said, We got to look out for that here. It may happen later, may happen sooner. When that happens, people are going to be pissed. And then the question is, when do they get back in? It's a fake market. And you know how we know that it's getting very frothy in the markets is back to what we were talking about. Coles joins meme stock mania with massive short squeeze. So if we go, oh, you can't see that on the screen, but that's the article on Zero Hedge. We'll just skip straight to Coles. And we're going to take a look at the price on Coles. Where is that? Coles Corporation. I want it on NYSE. Here it is. Whoa, look at that. Kohl's was really not doing well. Okay, so Kohl's is a department store. Department stores are failing. If you zoom out back to like 2019, Kohl's was sitting at $82 a share and was pretty steady before that. I could zoom out further, but you know, it's gone from basically 100 down to 5. Like Kohl's is just nothing left. It's like GameStop. So everybody was shorting, right? Well, guess what? Not so much. You had this big, huge melt up. And if I were to zoom in a little bit more closely, what a short squeeze is, that's when you see just a lot of shorts are on this. Like people are shorting Kohl's. Usually in the most of it going to be in the options market. So whoever, smart money, dumb money, I don't know, they've been loading up on Kohl's stock, or at least Kohl's options, going back to who knows when, right? And then one day they just knock all the short squeezes out. And all those people who had gone short on the stock, who have put options that they've bought, they get liquidated. And it goes up from, you know, really $5, but basically $10 up to, you know, $21. And of course, people are making massive amounts of leverage and call options. But this kind of stuff that you see it, when you see a lot of this, you are near the top, at least a local top. It doesn't have to be a permanent top. It doesn't have to be, you know, like everything is going to end. But one thing that, again, Velas, who's in the audience, there's one thing that a lot of people forget about. We're going to go briefly back to the NASDAQ. We're going to take a look at a little bit of history, and we're going to take a look at what really may have happened, because everybody wants to talk about the taper tantrum causing markets to fall like this, right? Well, guess what happened before the taper tantrum? Velas knows what I'm talking about. He's the one who kind of talked to us about it. DeepSeek. Back to the data center conversation, back to the grid conversation, back to the prior article, okay? Think about this. DeepSeek was kind of like a bit of a nuke, like a financial nuke dropped by China. V, you remember all this?
Yeah, the thing with DeepSeek is this. You're able to run it on, and this is how you know the grift, and this is why people need to pay attention. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The grift is, oh, we need this, we need this, we need this, we need to build this, we need to build that, so we can everything is about pumping the bubble, right? Because when we've been in a solvency crisis since 2008. We've been in a money velocity crisis since 2008. We've been in a liquidity crisis since 2008. And that's why we've been pumping all sorts of bubbles. So, you know, the tech bros at Silicon Valley, they've convinced you that, listen, man, in order to run our advanced AI models, you need ASIC 1000. We need brand new RTX and GTX chips with with X amount of gigaflops of processing power and petabytes of data that can go through it. Blah 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 blah. Buy these overpriced NVIDIA chips. There is no way on God's green earth a retarded company like NVIDIA is worth $4 trillion. You're telling me NVIDIA is worth more than ExxonMobil? That's how you know we have left the plantation, folks. That's how you know we have left low Earth orbit and we are out there to planet crazy. Planet crazy.
NVIDIA's like 13, 14% of the NASDAQ.
Yeah. And here's the DeepSeek is open source, number one. And DeepSeek can run on any chipset, older chipset. So you don't need it. Do you understand the damage that most people who are on the surface are like, well, you know, my God, the Chinese are launching and rival AI to Chat GPT and Grok and all and Gemini and all these other things. And no, because this is the bullshit Wall Street and Silicon Valley, which is a cottage industry of Wall Street, has been trying to tell the rest of the world. They've been trying to track, look, guys, come and invest in our illiquid come invest in our markets. We got AI. AI is the future. America's going to be the future of AI. America's going to be the future of crypto. Yes, come join us.
You know,
yeah. You need to join us because we have these advanced. We're the only ones that can build AI with these advanced graphic cards that NVIDIA produces. And then all of a sudden, here comes the Chinese. Hold my rice wine. Hold my beer. And that's exactly what they did. Hold my green tea. And they released DeepSeek that could run on much older hardware without the power requirements of what NVIDIA is asking. And the rest of the world's like, holy shit.
Yeah, sake is Japanese. Rabin is spelled S-A-K-E. So it's 2%, or is it 0.2%? I think it's like the processing chips required to run DeepSeek are, I think it's either 2% or 0.2% of the cost and effectively processing power of the chips that are being built to handle AI here in the US. Absolutely. So what this did was it told the world that we don't need to have these crazy processing chips, right? On top of that, yeah, Rob, it's also racist. That's funny. So think about it this way. We're pushing like V said, trillions of dollars into this sector, not just into NVIDIA or AMD, but also we're pushing it into these data centers, micronuclear reactors, possible grid, expansions. Although, how are we really going to do that? I don't know, because we're not a real country, right? No. All of a sudden, China comes in. It's like, no, you don't need all that. We got just as good of an AI, and it runs on like, a fraction, about 1/100th or 2/100th.
And here it is. It's open source. There you go.
Yeah. Here you go. That's, they did that also recently with another tech too.
You know why they could do that, Cowboy?
That's
they're an actual physical economy. An actual physical economy with the deepest supply chain on God's green earth. They can do that. We can't.
That's a shot across the bow. And here's the thing about it is that in a way, and I know all the conservatard fucking jukebox soundbite jukeboxes in the audience say China's bad. All right, fine. But guess what? The United States has not had competition for very long, right? Yep. The Japanese had a time in the late 80s, early 90s, but then they had basically the same model banking system as we do, the British model, the wealth extraction model, the strip mining model, and they got strip mined. That's what happened in Japan. So unfortunately, that happened in a culture that really could have continued to do economically very well. I have great respect for Japanese culture, the work ethic, all of that. But unfortunately, whoever's running their banks probably does not have Japan's best interest at heart, and it is what it is. So that said, it's moved on to China. Now, and think about it, we had like really crappy little cars like in the 70s. Remember those 70s Mustangs, V? They're like, they were held together by baling wire. It was like it was like an economy car.
People often forget. They're like, oh, made in America. People forget we actually made shit here. Made in America was something that not to be proud of. Especially in the 70s, man, with the cars that were being built by GM, by Ford, by Chrysler.
They're trash.
Absolute trash. The supply chain trash. The work, the way the assembly lines were trash. People would find beer bottles within the frames of their car. That was a running joke. They would literally put like beer bottles or beer cans with notes written in it within the frame and chassis of the car. And unless your transmission blew out as you were driving down the road, your transmission just fell out the back end, and you took your car for service. When they take it apart, they see the bottle right there. It's incredible.
Yeah, and there was a very short time I worked on cars, and those 70s like vehicles, they were just they had no mass to them, they had no guts to them. It was like a really bad go-kart, and the Japanese came in. And they have excellent engineers there. They built a superior product, and then the U.S. had to keep up. So the U.S. vehicles actually started to get better through the 90s. and then in the early 2000s. And, of course, things are up to a certain level now, but then unfortunately, Japan's going through what it's going through with its banks and its system and all that other stuff. Now we have a new competition, right? But the new competition wasn't allowed into our markets in a full way. Yes, we buy a lot of things from China, but guess what? We don't buy their cars. Well, of course, for whatever reason, we haven't made a deal for their cars to be in our country, right? We did that with Japan. We haven't done it with China. I mean, V, how many times have you sent me, oh, look at this vehicle coming from China? Like completely superior to ours for a cheaper price.
Yeah.
In a big way.
In a huge way.
And it's what it is in a big way. Our economy is not real. We have these cars that we make based on our own supply chains, which actually are not our own supply chains, where most of the parts are assembled elsewhere. And then the final assembly happens here. And then we got to pay $5 to $10 grand per car to the unions. And we're just not competitive. God bless you if you're in manufacturing at all in the US. I'm not like talking trash, but the model is not sustainable. China is going to, and probably, I believe China's already taken us over in vehicle sales around the world. And if they haven't, they're going to soon.
They have already. They wreck us in total overall vehicle sales globally.
Like outside of the country too.
Outside of the country, right. And here's the thing. It's like, there's a reason why we keep them in bed. There's a reason why we're all of a sudden becoming protectionist, because if we don't become protectionist, then the scheme falls apart. Then the financialization falls apart. So we always have to be a financialized fake economy has to always be at a perpetual warlike state, because that is how you keep the grift going. That is how you keep the scam flowing. It's incredible. I think Velo's, switching gears real quick, brought up the whole 0-day effect that's happening right now with Microsoft. Google and Microsoft say Chinese hackers exploiting SharePoint 0-day. Security researchers at Google and Microsoft say that they've evidence that hackers, backed by China, of course, exploiting a 0-day bug in Microsoft SharePoint as companies around the world scramble to patch the flaw. The bug, officially known as blah, blah, blah. I'm not even going to bother to give the alphanumeric name here.
Yeah, Stuxnet Part 2.
Exactly. Discovered last weekend allows hackers to steal sensitive private keys from self-hosted versions of SharePoint, a software server widely used by companies and organizations to store and share internal documents. Once exploited, an attacker can use that bug to remotely plant malware, gain access to the files and data stored within, as well as gain access to other systems on the same network, and so on and so forth. This is affecting everything and everyone, and they're going to call it on China, but it's probably some rogue hacking group, God knows, out somewhere out there, right? But the reason why I bring this up is because we're always in a state of us versus them. We're always in a way of looking at everything that goes wrong or everything that goes right in a very binary sense. In or out, good or bad, black or white, up or down. And we're always looking at it from this dichotomy, this binary dichotomy, and we are never allowed to think beyond that. We are never allowed to look at the greater kaleidoscope of what causes these changes, where are we as a country and where we're heading. And that's done on purpose, folks. They just want you focusing on, enemies. We need enemies. We need this. Well, all the while, we're being robbed blind.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty. You know what I mean? Oh, boy. How many narratives have we destroyed for at least the people who are willing to go outside of their cognitive dissonance, right? Most people are not going to change their mind until they're forced to. How many things have we talked about? I don't know, V, you and I have been doing this since 2017. You've been doing it since 2012. Like, we're kind of, there's been enough time for our receipts to become very relevant. How many times has this happened? And at the same time, what I want to know, and this is the $1 trillion question, are we going to have a good enough relationship with the multipolar world by the time that we need to pull ourselves out of our hole that we've put ourselves in? Are we going to have a good enough relationship with them such that they're willing to help us? Are we going to piss them off so much that they're just going to leave us behind and let us And it might be better for us that they do that. We might need a little humility in this country. We might need our people to suffer so that 16-year-old kids are willing to go work at the gas station again. I don't know. Yeah, it seems to me that Trump is trying to develop a better relationship with these other countries on the way up. But you know what? Is he going to be around? I mean, let's just say Trump is out at 2028. I mean, if not before by some terrible whatever. What then? Do you think Vance is going to continue this? I mean, let me pose this another way.
Vance and Peter Thiel is going to help us, Cowboy. Peter Thiel.
See, but I think Trump is also owned by Thiel and Musk and everybody else too. I think, I don't know that Trump, I mean, look, the power elites got behind Trump this time around to some degree, which is why he could do anything at all. Whether or not we're completely happy with this progress, there has been progress. The first administration, not so much. Trump 1.0, not so much. He was stonewalled left and right. So the question is, are our power elites willing to do what needs to be done to put our country in a better place? And I don't know. Time will only tell. I think the markets are going to give us clues. And I'm not sure I like the clues that we're seeing right now. Silver. Good Lord, we talked about silver this morning. What do you think is going to happen with silver in the next couple of years, V? Do you think it's just going to go up continuously?
It's going to smash through any sort of imagined value that people have. I see a future price of silver $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 an ounce. No joke.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
No joke. Future trajectory. And here's the thing, guys. I just put into DeepSeek. Can the United States succeed in actual AI infrastructure and scaling? Or quote unquote, let's just call AI for what it is. This future infrastructure build out for the ubiquitous internet, right? And the short answer is no. It can. This is the answer that it gave me. The U.S. the U.S. trajectory. This is the conclusion. The U.S. trajectory points to failure because it prioritizes speed over resilience, geopolitics over talent, and fragmentation over cohesion. China's state-backed scaling and standardization contrast sharply with U.S. disarray. Without urgent fixes to infrastructure, policy, and global collaboration, the U.S. risks ceding AI dominance and exacerbating systemic vulnerabilities. As ASCE warns, sustaining investment, prioritizing resilience, and embracing innovation are non-negotiable. And there's the facts right there on the ground. And here's a funny other thing, right? When you ask countries that are serious countries about AI, these serious countries will say, yeah, it's a helpful assistant. It's if you want to build something off of surveillance, you can do that, this, that, and the other. They give very utilitarian answers with no emotion tied behind it. Then you ask some tech bro in the United States, and he will begin to mentally masturbate you with incredible marketing terms. It's going to revolutionize this, and then also give you some doomsday eschatological end of the world scenarios. It's the demon. It's going to come and possess you. This, that, and the other. So one, you have an understanding of AI which is grown out of the bed, right? Out of the very rice bed, the very plantation bed of Hollywood, and all the things that Hollywood has told us about AI and artificial intelligence and Terminator and Lost in Space and everything else and Star Trek and whatnot. 2001: A Space Odyssey, so on and so forth, versus countries that actually have extremely serious engineers. Because we're in this world we're living in, when we talk about the West versus the East, you're talking about engineers versus idiots. Okay, and they're like, yeah, this is it's a valuable assistant that can help with computation, and it's great for surveillance. It's incredible to see the dichotomy. The others are like, whatever. The other one's like, yeah, it's going to be the world. We need to spend $9.1 trillion on build infrastructure. Data centers. They're hyperventilating all those things because whether they scare the shit out of you with FUD or excite you to oblivion with FOMO, the end of the day, it's the same thing for them. Money, wealth extraction is the same thing. And that's how you know this whole fucking thing is a scam. To some degree, it absolutely is, because it plays into our broader economy, which is also a sham. It's bullshit. It's very fragile. If the COVID years didn't teach you anything in terms of how fragile the supply chain is, which nothing's ever been fixed since then, and also how fragile our financial system is since 2008, and nothing's been fixed since then you're not paying attention, folks. That's what I got to say, Cowboy. You want to add anything to that?
Well, they did actually create a graphic of our economy. And what they did was essentially, what would our economy be if it were a vehicle, right? They wanted to, is it a Mustang? Is it a Corvette? Like just all that. And I do have that information right here. Give me a moment. I'll bring it up. This is our economy.
AMC Gremlin.
Yeah, that's a Pinto. So the thing about the Pintos, similar to the early V6 Pontiac Fieros, which were actually kind of cool. You rear end those and they went up in like flames or something. I think a Pinto, you front end them. I don't think I think it was a front engine, but the Fieros, what they had was a cyclonic fuel injector, and so it was supposed to kind of make a more efficient burn because it would shoot the fuel into the cylinder in a tornado type way. Unfortunately, this caused
when you got rear-ended, the tornado turns into a fireball and engulfs you.
Yeah. But now they're putting they started to put these like North Star V8 engines in there because the North Star is like a pretty small V8. Those things were almost popping wheelies, man. But yeah, we're a Pinto. Just a slight miscalculation and your economy goes up in flames. And we're not quite there yet, but we might be there yet. You know what I'm saying? Like the only thing that's holding us together at this point is agreement from the rest of the world. And we're not really like doing things that make them want to agree with us in the world. Like we are now a little bit since Trump is in, but prior to Trump, we were just doing things that would piss everybody off. And, like seizing Russia's FX reserves to the tune, I've heard 300 billion, I've heard 600 billion, whatever it might be. So all I can say is, hey man, silver. Did you say? Oh, I did want to correct this before we ended the show. V, you said silver 5,000. Did you mean gold 5,000?
No, silver.
You think silver's gonna be 5,000 an ounce?
Yeah, not anytime soon, but in the long-term trajectory, yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay, yeah. So got it. Well,
gold will be massive as well.
Oh, well, I guess I don't want to reveal too much. It's kind of an algo factory conversation. We'll save that for then. So if you got anything else, I'm good to go.
No, that's it. Thank you guys for listening in. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow. We have anybody tomorrow?
Tomorrow is we don't have anybody. We could bring Ben Keller in on if you want.
No,
it's Tuesday. No, it's Gus.
Yeah, Gus is tomorrow.
Yeah, and then we got
keep a lot loaded right here, folks.
Yeah, we got Matt Arid on Thursday, and Velas, if you are around, we have Velas on Friday. We could slide Keller in on like an afternoon show if you want.
Sure, sounds good.
I'll talk to him.
All right. With that being said, folks, we're over and out. Cowboy, take it away.